love, friendship, family, connection in general. These are all very important things to keep in mind when thinking about how characters connect to one another. Whether it's reluctant friendship, forced adventures together through the act of piracy and Davy back fights, or family connections that are just speculation and theory right now. But they could be real, and might even be more real than we had originally thought. Hello Internet, I am the hero of Julios, once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1157, Legendary Bar. The art this week is Yamato's continued pilgrimage as she stops at the shrine of an individual who fought Kaido to defend their village, but left no body behind after the battle. I'll do a little digging later to find out whose shrine this is to. If I figure it out, I'll put it under my, me on the video. Otherwise, I'll just kind of continue on as normal. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. We do see Ulti in page 1 in the background making a big snow Kaido, or at least I assume it's a snow Kaido, which may be a hint that soon we'll be seeing Kaido and Linlin again. But who knows? The cover stories can go in any direction. They're all very plot relevant, though, especially the moon. Someday Enel will return to us. But with that, we start the chapter itself, where we are on a location called the Charity Sanctuary. The Rocks Pirates are robbing this place blind as they are barreling through. They got big, comically large sacks of money as they're running, and the owner of the charity's like, "No, stop, please, evil Rocks Pirates, that money is for the children in the orphanage." And yeah, I mean, they're super evil pirates. They're the Rocks Pirates. Of course they're going to rob from charities. What's interesting, though, is as they are stealing and robbing, Linlin looks down at these humans who are yelling at her, and she tells them, if this money is actually for charity, what is it doing gathering dust? So why is there dust on this gold and jewels if it's for charity? Don't you guys, use this money? So she and the rest of the Rocks Pirates, they are running, they're booking it, and that's when we hear on the intercom, Wang Ji, you need to, lower the lift again. So I guess this charity place has a lift system that goes up and down. But yeah, you need to lower the lift. We're trapped down there. And Wang Ji's just like, Shakky, would you mind handling that? I'm going to grab this big comically large sack of gold and get moving. And Shakky's like, you got it, buddy, as he takes a bomb and throws it down the shaft. Meanwhile, at the bottom of the shaft, we have Kyo, Newgate, and Kaido. The three of them are standing together, looking up at the shaft, kind of waiting for the lift to come back down. And that's when they see a bomb coming down towards them. So, cut to the rest of them leaving, and we find out, as Linlin had said, why is it gathering dust? Why aren't you using this money for charity? Well, a couple of the charity workers, they get together, and one of them goes, the Rocks Pirates are on to us. They know. It's just a grift. We're liars. We actually, we're lying to the people that we're getting the charity money from. So, once again, Rocks D. Zabek, you are an interesting individual. You're stealing from people who are stealing. I don't know how I feel about this guy. It's starting to blow my mind a little. A friend pointed out to me that Rocks is a lot like Luffy, but Luffy is a lot like Teach, and Teach has some similarities to Roger, and Roger to Rocks, and this is quite the jumble of inherited will and the interesting nature of timelines and family, and it's wild to see that Rocks, though insane, might actually be a decent person? So as they are running away and the bomb goes off in the lower shaft, Linlin sees that these, or not Linlin, Bakin, Stussy, she sees these bars come down in front of her as they've got them trapped, and Linlin's like, giant iron bars? That's not going to stop me, as she gets ready to bash, and before she can break the bars, the island tips. We haven't seen a good island tipping since Marineford, as the rest of the Rocks Pirates are sent flying, and Linlin's yelling, this is definitely Newgate's ability, as Newgate, Kaido, and Kyo all come out of the rubble together, and Kyo's just like, alright, who dropped the bomb? The three of them look up, and you see Shikky floating, And Shakky looks down and he goes, Kyo, my dear friend. Reminder, well, we learned this, that Kyo and Shakky are rivals. The Silver Axe, the Golden Lion, they are, rivals in the pirating world. Or I guess bounty world? Because Kyo wasn't a pirate first. Anyways, he's like, oh, my good buddy Kyo, that bomb didn't kill you. That's so good. I was so worried. I was exploding an escape for you. And as the two of them are arguing, Kaido's talking to Newgate, and he says, that's a really good power. I have to get one of those. And Newgate says, listen, buddy, a devil fruit is really strong, and I got a pretty cool one, I got to admit, but you need to really think about whether or not you want to eat one of these things, because it's a one and done deal. You get one ability and you're stuck with it. You could become an island tipping Quake Man. In fact, I bet you even have the potential to become a dragon. And Kaido's like, oh, a dragon? Yes, a dragon. Maybe not, but maybe. You also have the potential of turning into a jacket. So, maybe do some research before you eat that fruit, okay? Just saying. But the narrator goes on to tell us as we see a montage of the Rocks pirates just destroying Navy ships, wreaking havoc island to island. The Rocks pirates had 17 raids, 76 enemy ships sunken, 14 ports burnt to the ground, 5 towns leveled, 1 kingdom ruined. Like just a kingdom in general. We're talking, the entire city of Oklahoma City, just gone, brought to ruin by the Rocks pirates. And finally, 25 crimes so horrible that the government covered them up. I will argue that the impelled down inmates of level 6 are covered up crimes. These are criminals that they say that impelled down only goes to the 5th level. But there is the 6th level where criminals are so bad that the government erases their existence from history through government cover-ups. What's interesting about that is we know for a fact Crocodile and Jinbei were also put in level 6 of Impel Down. Now, Crocodile maybe, but Jinbei never committed a crime that was worthy of being erased from history itself. And granted, he was put in there temporarily because they knew he would interfere with the Whitebeard pirate fight, but Crocodile just tried to stage a coup. Crocodile's crime was trying to take over Alabasta and find out where the Pluton is. His crime was knowledge. So the 25 things that the Rocks pirates did that the government covered up might not all be violent crimes. It might even be some research into the Void Century. Maybe they stole from a ship that was heading for O'Hara, or they took from a library that Eam, rented a book from, and now they have Eam's library card. However it happened, I don't think all the crimes that the Rocks pirates did were sinking islands. I think maybe a couple members of their crew know a little more than they should. But the narrator goes on to tell us that though the Great Pirate Era would be started by the death of Gol D. Roger, the era before it was definitely the Era of Rocks. And with that, we move on to an island called Enishi, where Harold is having a dispute with a world government ship. See, the island of Enishi is not affiliated with the world government, and as a result, the world government is free to do whatever they want to this island. Horrible, I know. Harold agrees with me as he's telling them, hey, this is one of the islands that fed Elbaf during our great famine. They gave so much to us. Why are you kidnapping them? Why are you taking people and chaining them up? And the government official tells him, listen, Harold, they're not affiliated with the world government. You want to be affiliated with the world government, which means at this moment, you got to pick a side, buddy. You see, they are not people because they're not a part of the world government. And he even takes a gun and he shoots someone to demonstrate. And he tells Harold, if you help them, that's going to hurt your chances at joining the world government, being part of the Reverie, all that. If you help us, it'll increase your chances. This is one of those moments in the Telltale game where you got to make a choice, and whichever faction you choose is the other faction is going to remember that. Harold chooses to sink the world government ship, and the Navy paints it in the World Government Journal as the King of Elbaf shows his true colors and destroys an innocent battleship. Now, an innocent battleship. So, yeah, that didn't look good for Harold. That kind of sucks. The good news is, I assume those people of Anishi were set free, which is nice. But of course, Harold kind of took a step back because of this. So, not really winning that favor and getting into the reverie this time. But that's okay, buddy. They do it every 4 years. You'll get them next time, I'm sure. Now, me personally, I would tell him what I just said. You'll get them next time. Don't worry, buddy. Every great movement starts with a few minor setbacks, such as freeing slaves and upsetting the world order. Rox, on the other hand, told him, just flip the table, buddy! Just side with me! Destroy the world government! Then you don't gotta worry about them bullying anyone. As Rox and Harold are having lunch together at Ida's bar. So this is one of Rox's many, many visits. We actually see a panel of Haruden and Loki and this other young giant girl who grows up to work in the bar that Colin frequents, which I'm really hoping... No, because Ida's bar is outside of Elbaf. It's not in the underworld. So I'm hoping that young girl, I forget her name right now, but I'm hoping she works at a different bar, because if this is Ida's bar and it's still here, Ida, please still be here. Please? But as Rox is telling Harold, listen, you just gotta give up on this whole world government thing, he turns to Ida, of all people, the wonderful, beautiful Ida, and he tells her, Ida, back me up on this. Come on. You're his girl. You're his number one. Tell Harold he should just join my crew and flip the world government upside down. Right? Ida looks at Rox and tells him, listen, if I was Harold's mother, which I'm not, I'm just his wife, I would tell him to get new friends. Again, just a peach of a woman. Harold obviously laughs along with, Rox. They share good times together, even though Rox is a sociopath who wants to take over the world. I gotta say, Harold, I'm not really sure if the world government is fit for you. But Harold does bring up a really good point during this conversation. The giants are already starting to get accepted little by little into human culture, because John Giant has become one of the Marines. I don't know what rank he is at the time of this flashback, but John Giant was the first of the giants to become a Marine, and this is good news for giant kind. This means that they're accepting a giant to protect their people, and maybe they'll be open to more giants fitting into society as time goes on. This is a point that's brought up all the way at a Navy base, where an admiral, Kong, is being yelled at, I guess. The complaints of the youths of that era are yelling at him right now. We got Garp the Fist, future Vice Admiral Garp. We have Sengoku the Buddha, future Fleet Admiral of the Navy. And finally, Suru, the future Vice Admiral of the Navy as well. The three of them agreeing that giants are incredibly powerful, and if one rolls over in its sleep, it could kill like 30 men just by sleeping. Giants are massive and powerful, and why don't we have them in our ranks? Like, why is John Giant the only one? How are we messing this up? And Kong's like, listen, guys, if it was up to me, we'd have more, but the world government doesn't want them. And Suru, level-headed Suru, she says, listen, I get it, but we really need to speed up on recruiting giants, because there's rumors of Rox D. Zebek trying to recruit the king of the giants, and if he gets him to join their crew, we're dead. Like, the Elbaf just sweeps. We don't have anything that can stop them. So across the world, everyone is trying to get the giants, which takes us all the way back to the chapter where Eam was talking about Elbaf. Whoever controls Elbaf has an advantage in the upcoming war. Now, there wasn't a war brewing, per se, during that era, but the world was in turmoil because of the actions of Rox. Rox, who had the potential of taking over the world if he got Elbaf. So after this dark premonition regarding giants, we cut to 42 years ago. A little bit later, I'm not exactly sure how much time has passed at this moment, but we are at Hachinosu once more. And the news is erupting. The pirates are crying and screaming and wailing and tearing their shirts, as apparently Lady Shakky, captain of the Kuja pirates, has retired from pirating. She has quit. Tritoma is now in charge, and she has left Amazon Lily. This is a tragic day for all of her fanboys because, of course, now they have no chance of seeing her again. In fact, some pirates even mention that the only reason they became pirates was because they hoped that the Kuja pirates would attack their ship, and as they were sinking, they could catch a glimpse of Shakky's beauty. No one is more confused than her sister Gloriosa, though. As Gloriosa is reading the newspaper, she's seeing what's going on. Linlin's sitting with her, and Gloriosa's just baffled. Why would my sister quit being a pirate? Why would she set out by herself to sea? Because she didn't go back to Amazon Lily. I can't imagine her falling in love with anyone, because, you know, my sister just said last chapter, I belong to no one. So, what are you doing, little sis? What are you doing? And Linlin makes the wonderful suggestion, maybe she got that love sickness you keep talking about. You know, I don't know. You know, maybe the great pirates of Amazon Lily just crumble in the face of love. To which Gloriosa gives the greatest burn in all of One Piece, in my opinion. She turns to Linlin. She says, "What do you know about true love? You pop children out like popcorn." Like, dang, woman. And to further accentuate this statement, you actually look and you'll see them. You see Katakuri, Oven, and Daifuku hidden among these panels. Katakuri is the easiest to see because he's on Linlin's shoulder. They are the dopiest looking things right now because they're just like circle heads with little dots for eyes and like dopey smiles on. I don't know if Katakuri's baby pictures are as hilarious as I think they are now, but that's pretty funny. Meanwhile, Buckingham is talking to Newgate. She's like, man, all the guys on the island ever do is talk about that Shakky girl. Not like you, Newgate. You only have eyes for me. To which Newgate looks at her and says, Bakin, I have never loved you ever. So not only were we blessed with a sick burn, we got a second one immediately after. I hope somebody brought some burn ointment for this, because we are just setting people aflame this chapter. As Bakin starts yelling at Newgate, she's tugging on him like, what do you mean you don't love me? Of course you love me. You have to love me. And further raising the question of, is Weevil a clone of Newgate? Because something tells me if Bakin spent some time as a leech off of Mads and is this obsessed with Newgate, it would make a lot of sense for her to be like, okay, Vegapunk, here is some of Newgate's mustache hair that I kept in my collection. Please don't ask. Make me a Newgate clone. Make me a clone of Whitebeard. Because then I can pretend, oh, here's some of my hair. Make a clone of our baby. Make our child. And mad scientists do as mad scientists do. I mean, Weevil is confirmed to be as physically strong as Whitebeard was in his prime. Now, Whitebeard had a devil fruit, so there's a little bit of boost on top of his already amazing power. But it does make a lot more sense to see how just obsessed she was over Newgate. I feel like this theory has some legs now. But the commotion between the Rocks pirates and their women folk is brought short as the island begins to erupt with new information, because, you know, the newspaper telling us that Shakky quit, that was devastating enough, but that is immediately erased. The cries of sadness turn into shouts of joy as the beautiful Miss Shakky has made her way onto Hachinosu. and flat out tells them, I live here now. Of course, there's absolutely no objections to this. She tells them this place smells, and they're like, okay, we're gonna clean it up. We'll get some perfume for you. She's like, I want to open a bar. They're like, we will begin construction immediately. She tells them, I would like a nice place to stay. They build her a house. They plant flowers. They make a garden. You actually see it's a very lovely looking spot just in the middle of Hachinosu. It's even labeled as Shakky's Rip-Off Bar. Now, mind you, we saw Shakky's Rip-Off Bar in Sabaody, so it's clear that over the years she franchised. This location's probably run by someone else now because she lives on Sabaody with her husband Rayleigh. But long story short, this is where it began. These are where the roots took place. And as the Rocks pirates return home, they beg their captain for forgiveness of just letting this woman show up and build her house. And that's when Rocks and his crew are like, all right, let's go see this place. And they see the bar, and Shakky comes out, and everyone in his crew just hearts in their eyes. All is forgiven. Welcome to the island. Glad you live here. I want to point something out that I found very interesting. Shakky only seems to affect men. And that's not a slight on anyone here, but I would like to point out that Hancock's beauty actually made women second guess themselves. So I can confidently say, for those of you who love Hancock out there, she is still the world's most beautiful woman. Shakky is the most beautiful woman of her era. Hancock is the most beautiful woman in history. I have my own preferences that I would take a place over Hancock, but that's just me. So with the rip-off bar established and Hachinosu just getting a little bit nicer to live, we cut to one last location, just a couple panels of the 5 elders talking amongst themselves. A decision has been made that in order for Harold to join the world government, he has to make one decision. He has to fulfill this one ultimatum. In order to join the world government, in order for Elbaf to be considered an official nation affiliated with the world government, Harold must kill Rox D. Zebek. And with that, the chapter comes to an end. I mean, Rox is in trouble. Harold wants to join the world government, but I feel like Harold would be very conflicted in terms of actually trying to attack Rox. So I'm not sure where this goes. Unfortunately, I know no matter which way it goes, it ends in Harold's demise because this is a flashback and we kind of know how this starts. But that's actually not the theory that I'm going to end this episode on. A friend of mine pointed out something that he saw someone post online. I do want to clarify, my friend is not the one who zoomed in on Lady Shakky, but someone noticed, while looking over each panel, that there is a bit of scarring that Shakky has that wasn't there in the last chapter. Scars that imply a potential C-section or maybe something that happened during childbirth. These are the kind of scars that happen when a woman has a child. 42 years ago, Shakky moved to Hachinosu. 43 years ago, Dracul Mihawk was born. For those of you who firmly believe the theory that Rayleigh is Mihawk's dad, this could actually give some legs. If giving birth to a child left Shakky too weak to fight, quitting being a pirate would be a great first step. Where Mihawk was raised during all of this is an interesting question. But if it turns out that she did give birth to Mihawk, and he was raised on Hachinosu under the tutelage of Rox D. Zebek and probably any of the other Rox pirates who wield swords, like Shakky, he could really be a great swordsman by fighting all these amazing pirates of their time. Not to mention, Mihawk was known as the marine hunter in his youth, as Crocodile pointed out. So, marine hunter Dracul Mihawk coming from the island of Hachinosu would actually fit. As I was presenting this information to my brother, he went on further to point out that in a different timeline, we have a Ganondorf situation. This is a man born from a, I almost said Gerudo. This is a man born from a Kuja mother. Kuja are always born as women. Women are always born on the Isle of Women. But what if Shakky didn't make it back in time? What if Shakky didn't make it to the Isle of Women for her daughter to be born, and instead gave birth to a son? And in order to protect him, because the laws of the Kuja land is men need to be, she would have to protect him. And what better place to protect your child that you just gave birth to than an island of the most dangerous criminals and psychopaths known to mankind? I mean, I would raise my child in Australia if I could. So why not do that? Plus, her sister's there, so you can have your, oh, okay, little Mihawk, it's time to go. Go hang out with your aunt for a bit. I'm going to go have some wine. And then she goes and does that, and Mihawk learns how to fight by punching Lin. Like, these are... The potential here is pretty high, and the likelihood of, even if it's not Mihawk, some child being raised on Hachinosu is a wild concept. So, let me know in the comments below what you think. Do you think that there is a potential for Mihawk to truly be the son of Rayleigh at this point? Is there potential for Newgate to actually have been cloned in the form of Weevil? And is it the sickest burn in all of One Piece to tell Lin that she pops children out like popcorn, or am I forgetting a way more hilarious insult? However it goes, thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.